Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Oline and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here we talk about all things knitting really. We talk about our WIPs, finished products, yarn we have gotten, yarn we want to get, yarn we already have, just all things knitting. But before we get into that, I'm going to share what I'm wearing, and I'm wearing my very beloved Marseille sweater. This is one of my oldest sweaters. I didn't knit that much for myself before. I've gotten more into knitting for myself lately, but this sweater is almost 2 years old now, and it's still one of the sweaters I grab for the most. It's really soft. I like the really simple look it has. It's oversized, so it's really comfortable to just throw on and wear. And I also just like the fit of it, the details. I like the way the stripes on the arms line up with the stripes on the body. And I remember when knitting it that I was super scared that I wasn't going to knit it right so the stripes wouldn't align, but they ended up doing so, and it's still a project I very much remember working on. I remember casting it on. I remember weaving in the ends. So it's just a project that I have very many fond memories with, both in knitting up and with wearing. And it's amazing to wear as well. So this really is a sweater I grab for maybe the most out of all my sweaters. This is knit up in Drops Merino Extra Fine, so it is a superwash yarn, so I was also afraid it was going to sag quite a lot, but this is with two years of use and quite a lot of use as well, and it's held up really well. So I'm super happy that I chose to knit it in Merino Extra Fine. It's super soft. It is just perfect, I feel, for my use. It's a bit scary that it's in white, but since it's superwash I can wash it, because with the toddler running around and one of my favorite sweaters being white, it definitely gets messy quite a lot. But I love this sweater and I'm going to continue wearing it until it falls apart probably. And I also want to knit another one just because this is white and I don't want it to get ruined because of a messy toddler. So I want to knit one maybe in not white, in a color that doesn't get ruined by getting messy, maybe in just one color and then maybe in brown. But yeah, that's all for what I'm wearing. I'm really enjoying doing this podcast more regularly now, because that means I can show off more of my knitted wardrobe and share that with you. And I have so many pieces in my wardrobe that I truly love. But that said, we can move on into my WIPs for this last week, and it's a lot. I said last week that I had a lot of WIPs, and I have even more this week, and I'm okay with not being a monogamous knitter anymore, but I must say, as many WIPs as I have now, I don't enjoy it. I think I have 6 WIPs now, and I would say I would be comfortable with maybe 2 or 3, but once it gets to 4 WIPs and above that, I just get so incredibly stressed out. I don't feel like I get enough time to work on any of them, so then nothing ends up being finished, and I use up all of my knitting time just deciding what to knit on, and it just stresses me out so much. So I really want to just get a few of my WIPs off the needles now, because they are just really stressing me out at this point. But I'll start with some of the ones I showed off last week, and here is the first one. This was the one I had gotten the furthest on last week, and I thought this would be quite a quick knit. I was just going to do the sleeves, which I ended up doing. I really like the sleeves, and there's no ribbing, it's just a folded cuff here, which I really liked. So the sleeves were quite fun to knit up. But once I had finished knitting up the sleeves, I realized that I was probably not going to have enough yarn to finish the whole body. And I was right. I got to this point and then I ran out of yarn. I think I have 7 centimeters to go, which isn't that much, but I need another skein. So I did just really quickly order another skein, but I'm still waiting for that. And this was kind of the project that kind of started this just WIP marathon with all these WIPs and just stressing me out. And at the same time as I ran out of yarn for this, we also started remodeling our living room and dining room. They're a shared room, but we started remodeling that as well with a toddler. So it's just been quite stressful and quite hard finding knitting time as well. But this is how far I got on this one. And this is the Ankers blouse, by the way, if you didn't watch last time. This is the Ankers blouse by Petiteknit. It's knit in the size 3 to 6 months in ice blue, I think is the colorway. And this is incredibly beautiful. I have completely fallen in love with this color, and I want to just knit everything in this color now because I just think it's such an elegant color, really. And I really like the color as well with this ribbing. So I was very tempted when I had to buy a skein to finish this project. I was like, oh, I could just buy like 10 because then I can make more projects with it. But I have a lot of yarn and I've kind of placed myself under a yarn ban that I'm not keeping myself to. But more on that later. But I told myself that I couldn't buy 10 skeins of this just because the color is pretty. I have to knit from my stash first and then see if I can buy some of this later. But I have bought 1 skein just to finish this off. So I'm super excited to get that just so I can get 1 WIP less, because this is still a WIP to me even though I can't work on it currently. But it's even more sour because I know I have so little left. Like the whole thing is finished, the sleeves, everything, and then I just have 7 centimeters to go and I ran out of yarn. I'm thinking, because I'm buying a new skein, I don't know how the dye lots are going to match up, so I think I probably will have to frog back like this much, I would think, just so I could do a bit of helical knitting to kind of blend the 2 dye lots together, because I don't want there to be like a stark line in the middle of the body to show where a new dye lot started. So I'm probably going to have to frog a bit just to be able to do helical knitting, because now I'm at the very end of my skein here. But I'm just excited to get this finished, because this was what started all of my WIPs just going crazy. And then, as I said last time, I've also started on another one of the Anker blouses, because these are for twins. So here is the other one I've started on. It's also in Drops Baby Merino, but this is in the color Petrol, I think, also 3 to 6 months. And when I started this, I was so sure I had more yarn for this than for the other one, because for both of them I had 1 full skein and then just a scrap of another skein, and I was 100% sure I had more of this dark blue yarn than I had of the light. So I was like, yeah, it's no problem. I ran out of yarn for the other one, but I won't for this one. But then I knit up that first scrap and I only got this far. I'm still on the ribbing segments, and on this one I finished the rib segments and the raglan and separated for the sleeves before I ran out of my first skein of scrap yarn. So I realized I actually had less of this dark blue yarn, but I realized that after I had already ordered that first skein for the light blue one, and I didn't want to place 2 orders and pay for shipping for 2 times, so I just kind of lost motivation for this. I still have this skein, I just know it won't be enough, so I've been asking around in my family if anyone has a scrap of this petroleum blue color in Drops Baby Merino, and none of them have it. I'm still going to ask a couple of people before I admit defeat and have to order another skein of this too, because I just don't want to place 2 orders directly after each other. I'm a bit mad at myself that I didn't just wait and see if I would need another skein of this as well, but I was so sure I wasn't going to need it. But yeah, that just killed all my motivation for this one really. So even though I still have a whole skein to work on before I run into the same problem as the other one, it just kind of killed my motivation. So it's been on the back burner, but I'm hoping to get the yarn for the light blue one and to at least knit up this skein in the next week, and also figure out what I'm going to do with this yarn, just to be able to finish both of them, because I feel I've gotten too far to frog them both completely and then restart in a smaller size, and I also don't want to knit them in a smaller size. I'm really set on knitting them in the 3 to 6 months range. So I just have to figure out if I'm going to have to order another skein of this petroleum blue, or if someone in my family or friend group has a little scrap bit of it. But that's how those 2 projects are going. And then my last little one from last week is this Miniaugustins No1 by Augustins.dk. And if you look at it and saw last week's podcast, it might not look like I've gotten a lot of progress. I think I was here in the last podcast, but what you don't know is that I had to frog this completely and start all over again. I haven't knit on this in the past week at all really, so it's been laying with the same amount of progress on it all week, and then today I was going to pick it up and just work a little bit on it while I waited for my son to have his nap so I could film. And then I was going to start like the next section in this pattern, and I tried to do it and it just wouldn't. I never got the stitches right. I didn't have enough stitches to finish the pattern, and I had to reread the pattern and kind of think, am I not getting the pattern right, or is my stitch count just wrong? So I had to count all my stitches, which I probably should have done way earlier, but I never really count my stitches. And when I counted my stitches, I found out I had like 8 stitches, 6 or 8 stitches too few. And this is a very detailed knit, a very detailed blanket, so I couldn't really just look at it and see where I had made my mistakes. I decided to just frog it all out because I hadn't gotten that far anyway, so I would rather do that and just be over with it and start over again. So I did that this morning, and then I just cast on again and started working on it again, and it grew quite quickly. And now I'm past that point. I was going to start on this pattern here with these holes, and as you can see, I've now done that and started on something else which you cannot see yet because I haven't gotten that far. But I feel like it's not a lot of progress from last week, but now at least the stitch count is correct. And this will probably be on the back burner this week as well, it's just a project I kind of have to do a few stitches here and there on. It's not really the most important to finish. I did think to myself a little bit about not casting on again when I had to frog it this morning, because I don't want to have that many WIPs. But I know with myself, since I've already started on it, I've already broken into the skein, that even if I were to frog it and not start it again immediately, it would still kind of feel like an active project. So I decided to just cast on and start it again, because then at least I would have made some progress. Hopefully, and till next week, I won't have to frog this again, and I can just make progress on it. I would really enjoy if I was able to finish this section that I'm on now. The whole pattern is separated into sections you work, so I've done section 1, 2, 3, 4 now. I think I'm on section 5 or 6. I'm not completely sure, but I would love to finish that section, because I think I only have 1 or 2 sections left after that, and then the edging. But if I could just work a little on this here and there, so I could finish this section that I'm on now, that would be great. And then hopefully no more frogging for this project. It is looking really beautiful though, and now I finally got to have it on a circular needle as well, instead of DPNs, which also is a really great like sign of progress for this pattern, I feel. I'm only going to do 1 more increase till I have my final number of stitches. Each time you do an increase, you double your stitches, so you end up with almost 300, which is quite a lot. But I'm super excited about this blanket, and it is a very fun blanket to knit up, since it's separated into sections and you get to do something new all the time. And you see it knits up quite quickly, because I did this just while waiting for my son to nap this morning. So that's it for the mini Augustins. Oh, I'm knitting it in Drops Puna in the color light grey. It's 100% alpaca yarn, so I think this blanket is going to be super soft and super warm. So I'm super excited about it. And then my last project that I also talked about last week, before we get into my new customs this week, is my Moby sweater. My cat wants to get in, just wait. The last week's customs is the Moby sweater, and this is probably my most neglected WIP this week. I think I said in last week's video that I wanted to have both the sleeves done, and here you can see how well that went. I don't think I have really made any progress on this. I think maybe I added, what's it called? I think I added 1 length of bisque, a cable. I think I added 1 cable length since last video. I did want to work more on this one, but I think I severely overestimated how much knitting time I would get when we were also remodeling our living room. And I also really underestimated how stressed out I am to just finish all of my baby knits plans, because those have kind of a stricter deadline than projects for myself. And my fingers were starting to hurt a bit, especially this crisscross pattern in the middle here really makes my fingers ache, especially like the last two on this hand and my knuckles on both hands. They make it really ache, so I think it was good to have kind of a forced break from this one, so I didn't ruin my hands and had to take another kind of forced break. But I unfortunately did not even get to start on either of the sleeves. So my goal for this week will just be moved to the next. I really hope to be able to at least start on a sleeve. I think that would be really nice, and I hope to kind of clear up all of this mess with all the WIPs so I get a bit less stressed out, so I can focus a bit on knitting for myself as well. My cat wanted to say hi. She's really what's it called? Innpåsliten. She just wants to be around us all the time now that it's colder outside. She's gotten really wild. She's used to being outside all day really, and she doesn't really like the cold, so now she's inside all day and it's driving her nuts, I think. But it means more cuddles for me. But yeah, I would like to have more progress to show, but I've really not been able to make any. But my fingers no longer hurt, so I think it was a really good time to take a break from this project. And I have made quite a lot of... I never remember that word. I have gotten quite far on this, so I'm not that mad about having to take a break now, but I really hope to be able to pick it up this week, because now it's been almost a week of not working on this at all, and I am really excited to be able to wear it, and to be able to wear it I have to actually work on it and finish it. But yeah, no progress unfortunately this week. And then on to, I don't know if they're more interesting, but they're at least newer. I cast on this week. I ended last week's video with talking a bit about that I've gotten an order for a few baby knits, and I just got super stressed about it after filming. I just felt like I had to knit them up and be done like yesterday. I don't want to disappoint the person that has ordered from me in knitting too slow or anything, so I've just been stressing myself out about it a lot. And it's also 3 full suits for a baby, and that takes quite long, and I'm also a bit afraid because I know babies grow quite rapidly, so I just want to be done before the baby has grown out of it. So these have been my main projects, and then everything has kind of taken a back burner. But here is the first one. This is the Selmas Sleepsuit. It's knit in drops kos. I didn't tell you what my Moby is knit in. My Moby is knit in drops Charisma and drops Kid Silk, and my Moby is knit in size medium. Yeah. If you want to know the start date for these projects as well, I can write that up. Let me know in the comments if you want that in the next podcast, and I'll start writing the start dates for these projects. But yeah, my Selma, it's knit in kos, as I said, which is a brand new yarn to me. I've never knit in kos before, so I'm quite pleased I got to try it. Here I have my other yarns. I've worked through 3 out of 7 skeins now, but I think I'm going to have a few left over. Here is the skein. It's in this really lovely, I think it's called light marzipan maybe, this color, and it's a really nice, just light beige, almost pinkish hue to it, and it's really soft and it's working up quite beautifully. It has gone by quite quickly. I think I started this on the 9th, it's about a week ago. I think I started this pretty immediately after the last podcast. So I've done the hoodie and I finished the sleeves last night actually in just a bout of stress knitting, and I've also knit quite far on the body, as you can see. I think I am about to do the last buttonhole now, and then just a little bit more knitting before I can start knitting up the legs. So this is very much my main project because I feel like I'm making good progress with this now, and it's the most likely that this will be the first project to be finished, and I just really want to finish something. I don't want to have 6 WIPs anymore. I just want to shrink my pile of WIPs. So just been stress knitting really. I want to enjoy it, but I haven't really been able to because I just want it off my needles, which isn't great, but it's just how it is now. But I'm very close to being able to knit the legs, and then this will be super close to being finished. So my biggest goal this week is to finish this. I also have ends to weave in. You know, there are these cuffs on the arms, so you can fold them over the hands. When this is a sleepsuit, so when the baby sleeps, you can fold it over their hands. And you're supposed to sew that down. I haven't done that yet. I've just wrapped the edge I'm going to use to sew down around it, so it looks the way it's supposed to. But I'm just going to sew it all once it's finished, so I can just sit down and do it all. This is in the size 3 to 6 months. I did get 7 skeins of drop schools, but I don't think it's going to use that much because this is 3 skeins, so I think it's going to use 4.5, 5 maybe, for what's left. But yeah, this is my main project. And then after this I really didn't want to cast on anything else because this was my 5th WIP once I cast it on. But then, as if everything we were doing weren't stressful enough, remodeling, having all this knitting to do, watching my toddler, everything, I also found out I should train. This is the time to start a training regimen. This is the time to like figure out I need to do something with my life. Perfect timing. But one day I just was like, I really should take care of my health, which I should, but I don't know if this was the time to start. But I also felt like I didn't have time to just work out, so I decided to cast on something really simple in stockinette, so I could knit while walking on the tread line on an incline, and that resulted in me casting on for the Monday suit, which is a part of the order that I'm really stressed about finishing. This is the 2nd out of the 3 suits I'm making. I also, after these 2, have to make a Sunday suit. This is in the size 2 to 4 months, and I'm knitting in Drop Sunday, which also is a new yarn to me, so maybe the stressing is worth it just to be able to try out all of these new yarns. I think the color is called Putty or something. It's called Kit in Norsk, in Norwegian. And the stitches look really good, and the yarn is just so thin, and it just is a super pretty knit, and it all looks so dainty, and it's the perfect knit to have when you all of a sudden find out you're going to start training, or you are visiting or out and about. It's the perfect project to just keep in your bag and take with you and knit a few stitches here and there. So it was a really great project to cast on. I just didn't want to cast on any more projects, but I've gotten quite far on this as well because I really like to work up the Moby sweaters. Not the Moby suit, not the Moby, the Monday suit. It's one of my favorite suits to work up. So even though I've also been stress knitting this, I've had quite a nice time doing it actually. And I'm about at that point now. This has the body where it goes curved. So I'm done with the curved at the top here with the raglan increases, and now I've done, I don't know if you can see it, I've done a bit just straight, and now I'm about to do decreases on the front here and increases on the back here, so it curves. I've done the curve here, and now I'm gonna do the curve back to the middle of the suit, so the button band ends up. So the button band ends up like at the middle of the suit here. And I also like when I get to that point of the Monday sweater, because I just feel like you see a lot more progress when you're doing increases and decreases than when you're just knitting back and forth. But yeah, I also would like to be done with at least the body for the Monday suit when the week is over. Hopefully the whole thing, so I can cast on for the Sunday suit, because I really want this order to be done as soon as possible, both to put it behind me and not have to stress about it as much, and also just so I don't disappoint. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to knit it up too slow, and that just really worries me. But yeah, that's my main two projects this week, and then also I hope to get further on the twin knits, because those also have a deadline. But yeah, this week has just been all about the WIPs, and I haven't really finished anything. I have finished this little thing here. It's a bonnet, but this was a secret test knit, and it's still secret, so I can't really talk more about it yet. But I did finish one thing this week, and this is what has really been able to keep me motivated. Just the ability to finish one thing in the midst of all this WIP chaos was really nice to just cast on, cast off. So great to knit a few bonnets here and there just to be able to cast on and off quite quickly. I also have a pile of finished knits that I just haven't weaved in the ends for. That's also stressing me out a bit. So there's just a lot of like finished, unfinished chaos that's stressing me out with my knitting lately. But hopefully we are mostly done renovating now, so I'm going to get a lot of my knitting time back, my knitting time in the evening and in my son's nap. So hopefully I'm just going to tame this WIP mess, because that would be nice to just not have such a scrambled brain trying to think about all of it at the same time. But in kind of lighter news than all of that stress, I have gotten some yarn I ordered this week, and that's also been like a light of my week, and I haven't really unboxed it yet because I haven't really had the time, so it's still in its box. I've just kind of opened one side of it, so I thought I'd open it with you. Let's see if I can get it open. Here is my first box of yarn. This is Drops Merino Extra Fine. All this yarn is for pants. I'm going to make pants for the twins, a couple of pair of pants for them, and then I also have yarn here for my son. I'm going to make him a Willums overall. He really needs pants. He doesn't have really any pants, at least not in comparison with how many sweaters he has, and the weather is continuing to get colder, and the one pair of pants I have knit him, I haven't even weaved in the ends, so that's definitely something I need to do. But I'm going to make him Willums overalls in this color. I'm pretty sure it's this color and not this. The last 3 sizes of his Willums overalls have been in this light grey drops merino extra fine, so I just wanted a change, so I went for the darker grey. My fiance also approved of darker pants instead of the light one, so that's great, but definitely enough yarn here to keep me occupied for quite some time. So once I'm done with all of my WIPs, this will be the next. And then, in maybe more exciting news, at least for me, I also got my packet of Drops Daisy, and I've peeked at the color, but I haven't touched it yet because I got 20 skeins, so I got it in this plastic bag. I'm super excited to feel if it's as soft as the merino extra fine, even though this is not super wash. Let's see. It's definitely super soft, but it's maybe not as soft. But I'm super excited to knit with this. But this yarn is for a selfish knit. It's for a zipper sweater light for myself, and with all of these other plans and my Moby sweater not even done, it's not something I'm going to be able to knit up anytime soon, really, I think. But I think maybe I'm just going to do a swatch just to be able to work with this yarn. I got it in, what's it called, the moose green, color 17 of the Drops Daisy, and I think this is going to be amazing to have a zipper sweater in this. I barely have any green in my knitted wardrobe, so I'm super excited to be able to make myself a zipper sweater in green. And this color is actually pretty similar to the one we decided to paint our living room in, so that's also quite fun. Maybe I'll show a picture here of our living room. But yeah, I'm super excited about having gotten this yarn, and the only kind of sad thing about it is I now have this yarn, and I just really want to knit with it, and then I have so many other plans that I have to work on instead. But I know if I just finish all of my other plans, at least to a degree where I'm not stressed about it anymore, I will have a much better time knitting this up instead of knitting this up in the midst of all this stress. So I'm just super excited to knit with this, and this is one of my biggest motivations to just get all of my WIPs out of the way so I can knit on this. I have made myself a list of knits and what order I should do them in, just so I don't have to think about it and get tempted by all of the lovely yarn I order or already have. I already have cheated on this list and not made things in the order I should, and I also didn't get any crosses this last week, but I'm nearing getting a lot of crosses, so once I start finishing my WIPs, I think they will finish quite quickly after each other. But on this list, the zipper sweater for myself is on the 14th slot on this list. So, and I have finished one thing, so 13 more projects and I can cast on for the zipper sweater light. Maybe casting on will be a Christmas gift to myself. I just have to see how quickly I can finish this. But yeah, super excited to be able to work through this list. But yeah, my goals for this week is to finish the Selmas Sleepsuit, finish the body on the Monday suit. Hopefully I will get the yarn to finish the ice blue Ankers blouse. I want to figure out what to do with yarn for the dark blue Ankers blouse. And then I want to finish the segment that I'm on for the Miniaugustins, and I want to start on the sleeves for the Moby. So quite a lot of plans, but now that we're not renovating all day, I think it should be doable. And then I also want to weave in ends just to get this really unnecessary stressor out of my life. And yeah, I just want to knit everything up because I have so many plans that I'm just over-inspired at this point, and I can't focus on any one project because I'm just so over-inspired, and every time I look at my yarn or I look at a project, I just think, oh, I can knit that, oh, I can knit that, oh, I can knit that. So I'm just really excited to just finish things up to maybe calm my brain and my over-inspiredness. But yeah, that was all for this week. I hope I didn't stress you guys out with being stressed. Please let me know if you liked this video, and if you did, please leave a like, and if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!